We talked about Project 2025. We said that they wanted to turn us into the Handmaid's Tale. We talked about this. We talked about the connection between the Heritage Foundation and Trump in Project 2025. We talked about it. Now, this is where we are. We are living in the Handmaid's Tale. They are really trying to make the Handmaid's Tale a documentary. They're trying to make it real life, and they're playing in our faces. Actually, they're not even playing in our faces. They're really writing this out. But it was already said that they were going to do this. So the New York Times put out this article. It's a long article, and I don't care if it takes me 2 or 3 parts to get through it. I'm about to go through this article, but the title: White House assesses ways to persuade women to have more children. Before I read this article, here's a comment that was on the post. Now, if they were to implement these things, maybe that would encourage women, encourage families to want to have babies. Let's see if they talk about paid maternity leave, affordable childcare, covering pregnancy and delivery costs, free early childhood education programs, improved job protections for people, especially in this economy where we are right now, maternity leave that allows months, not weeks, with pay, flexible leave policy because babies and kids get sick, mothers get sick, affordable college education, pew pew control to protect children in schools, reduce or eliminate the wage gap, ensure more affordable IVF. This was a great comment. So let's see if anything in this article touches this. Yes, I'm taking up time that I could be reading the article, but just keep these bullet points in mind that this is a great list. It's a woman that made this list. I highly doubt that the White House is really talking to women about what they could do, or what the government can do to really incentivize women to have babies. But let's get into the article. This is a woman named Emma Waters, and she's being quoted saying, "We need to channel the MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, Make America Healthy Again spirit, and really dive deep into infertility," said Emma Waters, a policy analyst at the Heritage Foundation, referring to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again campaign. Okay, now let's get into the article. Baby bonuses and menstrual cycle classes are among the ideas pitched to Trump aides as they consider plans to try boosting the birth rate. The White House has been hearing out a chorus of ideas in recent weeks for persuading Americans to get married and have more children, an early sign that the Trump administration will embrace a new cultural agenda pushed by many of its allies on the right to reverse declining birth rates and push conservative family values. One proposal shared with aides would reserve 30% of scholarships for the Fulbright program, the prestigious government backed international fellowship for applicants who are married or have children. Another would give a $5,000 cash baby bonus to every American mother after delivery, a whole $5,000. A third calls on the government to fund programs that educate women on their menstrual cycles, in part so they can better understand when they are ovulating and able to conceive. Sounds like the Handmaid's Tale. Those ideas and others are emerging from a movement concerned with declining birth rates that has been gaining steam for years and now finally has allies in the U.S. administration, including VP J.D. Vance and Elon Musk. Policy experts and advocates of boosting the birth rate have been meeting with the White House aides, sometimes handing over written proposals on ways to help or convince women to have more babies, according to 4 people who have been part of the meetings who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. Administration officials have not indicated what ideas, if any, they might ultimately embrace, but advocates express confidence that fertility issues will become a prominent piece of the agenda, noting that President Trump has called for a baby boom and pointing to the symbolic power of seeing Mr. Vance and other top officials attend public events with their children. I just think that this administration is inherently pro-natalist, said the activist Simone Collins, referring to the movement to reverse declining birth rates. Ms. Collins, along with her husband Malcolm Collins, sent the White House several draft executive orders, including one that would bestow a National Medal of Motherhood to mothers with 6 or more children. That sounds very much like Russia. Look at the number of kids that major leaders in the administration have, Ms. Collins said, adding, "You didn't hear about kids in the same way under Biden." The behind the scenes discussions about family policy suggest Mr. Trump is quietly building an ambitious plan to promote the issue, even as he focuses much of his attention on higher profile priorities such as federal cuts, tariffs, and mass deportations. Project 2025, the policy blueprint that that has forecast much of Mr. Trump's agenda so far, discusses family issues before anything else, opening its first chapter with a promise to restore the family as a centerpiece of American life. Much of the movement is built around promoting a very specific idea of what constitutes a family, one that includes marriage between a man and a woman and leaves out many families that don't conform to traditional gender roles or family structures. In contrast to the intense emphasis on cost cutting so far during Mr. Trump's second term, this focus on families could result in spending more money to back a new set of priorities. The White House press secretary Caroline Levitt said in a statement that Mr. Trump is proudly implementing policies to uplift American families. That's especially apparent as they're slashing jobs, threatening to slash jobs, cutting funding for school lunches, making sure that they're cutting funding for people that are in poverty, the elderly, and all of that. That just really goes to show that you are all about families. The president wants America to be a country where all children can safely grow up and achieve the American dream. As a mother myself, I am proud to work for a president who is taking significant action to leave a better country for the next generation. This is such BS, and I will proudly say I am a mother. I love my children, but this is not a place where new babies need to be born. Let this birth rate plummet to hell because where we are, this economy, this political climate is not set up for raising children. It just really is not. Team, let the birth rate plummet to hell. Trump, Vance, and Scum have cultivated the movement by publicly highlighting issues related to family policy and pronatalism, both in the lead up to the election and since Mr. Trump took office. Speaking to a crowd in January at the March for Life, an anti abortion rally, Mr. Vance said he wanted more babies in the United States of America and more beautiful young men and women to raise them. Last month, Mr. Trump pledged to be the fertilization president, and that is totally not weird or anything. And here's little Kevlar. That's Leon Scum's child that he keeps around, probably for, I'm sure it's not any kind of nefarious reasons. The coalition of people who want to see more babies born is broad and diverse. They are unified in their concerns about the United States birth rate, which has been falling since 2007, warning of a future in which a smaller workforce cannot support an aging population, and the social safety net. If the birth rate is not turned around, they fear the country's economy could collapse and ultimately human civilization could be at risk. But many in the movement have different reasons for wanting people to have more kids and often disagree on how to get there. Many Christian conservatives see declining birth and marriage rates as a cultural crisis brought on by forces in politics and the media that they say belittle the traditional family, encouraging women to prioritize work over children. They are pushing for more committed marriages and large families, while some who identify strictly as pronatalists are interested in exploring a variety of methods, including new reproductive technology, to reach their goal of more babies. Pronatalism strictly speaks to having more babies, said Emma Waters, a policy analyst at the Heritage Foundation, the conservative think tank that led Project 2025. Ms. Waters, who says she is concerned about the birth rate but does not identify as a pronatalist, added, "Our ultimate goal is not just more babies, but more families formed." Some administration leaders have already begun enacting policies that promote larger families. Most notably, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who is the father of 9 and has 10 siblings, published a memo early this year pledging to prioritize transportation funding in areas with higher than average birth and marriage rates. Several analysts within the department say the policy could result in less money for large urban transit and more for highways and car share services in rural areas. Okay, I'm going to end that there as part one, and part two is about to come. So, we are going through this article from the New York Times about the White House assessing ways to persuade women to have more children. This is part two. So we were just talking about Sean Duffy prioritizing fixing roads and doing infrastructure in places that had higher than normal marriage and birth rates. So that's where we are right now. The next major development on those issues is widely expected to come directly from the White House. Trump aides are preparing a highly anticipated report to be released no later than mid May, recommending ways to make in vitro fertilization more readily available and affordable. The White House pledged to produce the document in a February executive order, reaffirming the president's commitment to lowering the cost of IVF, a promise Mr. Trump made on the campaign trail without offering specific policy details on how he would do so. Discussions around what should be contained in the report have highlighted divisions within the pro family and pro natalist movement, according to several advocates involved in the conversations. While some in the movement, including Mr. Scum, who has fathered multiple children through IVF, are extremely supportive of IVF, many anti abortion Christian conservatives have serious misgivings about the procedure, which fertilizes a woman's egg outside the body and often leads to the loss of human embryos. The Trump administration is listening to a lot of different ideas and soliciting input on all of this, says Lyman Stone, who is the director of the Pronatalism Initiative at the Institute for Family Studies and has pitched several policy ideas to the White House. I think they're still having a conversation about what they want to do. The most ambitious plans for family formation will not materialize right away, many movement leaders said. That is partially because while other countries have tried a variety of approaches, it's not yet clear what kind of policies will best incentivize people to have more babies, or whether those kind of policy incentives are effective at all. Many ideas like an expanded child tax credit or baby bonus would require an act of Congress. The Heritage Foundation has been researching the question for over 2 years and is preparing to release a report in the coming weeks on how it believes the administration and Congress should counter declining birth and marriage rates, said Jay Richards, the director of the foundation's DeVos Center for Life, Religion, and Family. The newest and boldest idea, Mr. Richards said, is a policy plan that offers tax credits to married couples with children in which families receive more money back from the government for each additional child they have. Heritage has also been prominent in efforts to shape what the White House might do on infertility and IVF. The group, which heralds its commitment to protecting the unborn, is skeptical of the procedure. Leaders at Heritage hope the administration will take a broader approach to combating infertility in line with the Make America Healthy Again movement, largely led by Robert F. Kennedy and the health secretary. The idea, called restorative reproductive medicine, revolves around treating the root causes of infertility and leaving IVF as a last resort. We need to channel the Maha spirit and really dive deep into infertility, said Ms. Waters, who recently co-wrote a Heritage report on infertility. If the executive order's goal is to increase access to infertility care and keep the cost down, the solution is not to push IVF for everyone. Ms. Waters has proposed directing the National Institutes of Health to expand its study of infertility and reproductive health conditions, including endometriosis. She has also proposed using government funds to promote programs that educate women on their menstrual cycles and their natural fertility, such as cycle charting courses that many conservative Christian women use to try to prevent pregnancy without using birth control. And I do recognize the National Institutes of Health. That's one of the agencies that have been slashed as far as funding goes. So that's kind of, they should really be talking throughout the government and all of these agencies. These kind of programs could both help women identify the reasons for their infertility, Ms. Waters said, and also teach them when they're able to conceive. They could be facilitated through school sex education programs, she added, or independent courses designed for adults. Leading medical associations have been skeptical of this approach, calling it political and not based in science. They're still not getting to the root causes of why women don't want to have babies. I still haven't seen that addressed yet. These ideologies have been around for a long time, and they're always rooted in religion, said Dr. Eve Feinberg, a medical director of fertility and reproductive medicine at Northwestern University. It's not actual medicine. Still, there are opportunities for bipartisanship on these issues, which bring together unlikely coalitions to push for better family policies or more funding for infertility issues. While Dr. Feinberg took issue with Ms. Waters' explanation of infertility challenges as far too simplistic, she agrees with some of her recommendations. More federal funding for infertility and reproductive health issues is a wonderful idea, Dr. Feinberg said, adding that women's health has been underfunded for so long. But the desire to increase funds to help mothers and babies could collide with other administration priorities. For instance, this month, the health department made large cuts to the Division of Reproductive Health, which handle issues related to in vitro fertilization and maternal health outcomes. An official speaking on behalf of the department said its maternal and reproductive health programs would continue. Under President Trump's executive order to establish the MAHA Commission, Secretary Kennedy is determined to find the root causes of chronic disease to the chronic disease epidemic, including the toxins in our environment and food supply. Beyond the issue of fertility, the White House has received a wide range of policy recommendations designed to incentivize people to get married and have more children. In an attempt to influence highly educated couples, Mr. Stone proposed that the government impose a quota for married applicants or applicants with children across all its fellowship programs, including the Fulbright Fellowship. The recipients are largely recent college graduates, many of whom are single and travel abroad. What the government is doing with these programs is conferring status, Mr. Stone said. That being the case, it's bad for the government to blindly confer status on people for their singleness. Some within the administration and on Capitol Hill are interested in more sweeping legislative ideas for reversing declining birth rates. Several lawmakers are exploring legislation to offer new parents a baby bonus, a one time payment of a few $1,000s to the mother of the child to be issued soon after her delivery. According to people familiar with the discussion, the baby bonus could also take the form of a young child or newborn supplements to the existing child tax credit. What about paying for the hospital bills of the new mother? What about paying for some of that? Because the costs are quite prohibitive. So women would be paying these bills to have babies, and then they get $5,000, which will not go very far. Mr. Trump himself weighed in on the issue at the Conservative Political Action Conference in 2023 with the statement that has become a rallying cry for many in the movement. We will support baby booms and we will support baby bonuses for a new baby boom, Mr. Trump said. I want a baby boom. But like I said in the very beginning in part one, they have not addressed many of the cost issues that go along with having babies. They haven't talked anything about the safety issues that go along with having babies. They just said, we want babies, and that's it. I'm going to do a couple of the comments that are on the post because they pretty much nail down why there will not be a baby boom. Susie says, LOL, it's not rocket science. Free childcare, free healthcare, lower the cost of living, and people might actually want to have children. We live in a society that's hostile to families, and I'm not talking about the pro-choice movement or childless cat ladies. I'm talking about men who want to force women to have kids without offering any kind of support. That's 100% why I don't have kids. I don't want to feel that poor. Now we got Jeff. Jeff says, my wife and I have a 2-year-old and we want another kid, but can't afford it because full-time daycare costs nearly $20,000 per year, per child, if you're lucky enough to find one with open spots. Oh, and we're also in a 1-bedroom apartment and we can't afford more space because housing and mortgage rates are too expensive. A $5,000 baby bonus or education about menstrual cycles won't change this. We haven't forgotten that it was Republicans that crossed off the legislation to make daycare affordable during Biden's term. If this government does not actually talk to real people about why they are not having kids, there will not be a baby boom. And also, what they see as family has to be straight, Christian, and pretty much white. So, F these people, basically. F them.